Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is September 11th, 2023. The 22nd anniversary, of course, of the tragedy in 2001. It's hard to believe that much time has gone by. And here we are 22 years later. Still, the average American doesn't know a thing about Building 7, the third building to fall in New York City, many hours after Buildings 1 and 2. And that's because many Americans have never looked into 9/11 outside of the official narrative and outside of what they heard on news programming. So, again, want to connect some dots. But before we do that, if you are in the Fort Wayne area, some of the truth seekers have gathered in Fort Wayne. Apparently, they are near Main Street. I guess Clinton's another intersection nearby. But they're out there educating about 9/11. It's Frank the Truth Tank, Rich, and Chris, who were all with us last year in New York City and also in Oklahoma City. So they went out and formed a tandem. If you want to go downtown Fort Wayne, they plan to be out there for the rest of the day, all day, getting the word out about September 11th and the knowledge we talk about in this community. And again, there's so many different places you can start with 9/11. I just want to hit a few big ones again, and I want people to see the greater pattern of what happened with 9/11, what we did in the aftermath, and what the consequences were for the world of the decisions made after 9/11. So, again, Fort Wayne people, hey, if you got time, go find the Truth Seeker Gathering. I imagine you know who Frank is and Rich. If not, you'll recognize their faces. They've been in the live streams in the past when we've been out pounding pavement. But for this right now, again, I want to start right here with Rudy Giuliani, Rudy Giuliani, again, the 107th mayor of New York City, born May 28th, 1944. Again, from his birthday to September 11th, was his 107th day of his age. And again, he was the 107th mayor of New York City. And then for another 107, we invaded Afghanistan on October 7th, 107. And if you look into the history of Osama bin Laden, who September 11th was blamed on, him being the mastermind, again, Osama bin Laden was a CIA asset, and the CIA used him for interference with Russia in Afghanistan in that region. So just think about that history. I bring that up because Vladimir Putin, funny enough, has the same October 7th birthday. But, of course, he's public enemy number one at this day and age. But there's a web there between all of those events and people in history. Anyhow, 107. Where that number takes its form is in Gematria. Military equals 107. And again, the thing about October 7th is it's the day leaving 85 days left in the year. And the word Templar, which is the military order of the Catholic Church, equals 85. And again, you go back to the 16th century, the Jesuits created to stop the Protestant Reformation. Shortly after that, English standardizes a 26-letter alphabet, and again, we get the calendar named after the Pope with the 52-week year. For the record, Pope's 52. So, what a day to invade. And remember, Rudy Giuliani was the mayor of New York City, but the sitting president at the time was George W. Bush. And George W. Bush was a member of Yale Skull and Bones. And Skull and Bones, the secret society that both Bush presidents were members of, they get their symbolism from how the Knights Templar bury their dead in an ossuary. And again, the Templars are the old military order of the Catholic Church. So remember, 1968, that is the year that George W. Bush graduated from Yale Skull and Bones. 1968, the year World Trade Center construction began. The year 911 was made the National Emergency Dialing Code. The year 2001, A Space Odyssey came out. The year Boeing debuted their jumbo jetliners. All the planes on 9/11 said to be Boeings. And the founder of Boeing went to Yale Skull and Bones. And Boeing's out in Seattle. And in Seattle is also Magnus and Clemenkic Associates, who helped build the World Trade Centers. Notice also that Rudy Giuliani did become mayor in 94. Remember, the World Trade Centers opened on the 94th day of 1973, April 4th. And in Gematria, World Trade Center equals 94 as well. So does the word terror. And again, that's probably part of it. So Rudy got in there in 94. And then the thing that's associated with his mayorship more than any other is, again, what happened on 9/11. The 107th day of his age, before the invasion. Now, with regards to Rudy, remember, he was instrumental in helping the Sackler family avoid punishment for a long time for the opioid crisis caused through OxyContin. And after 9/11, again, the United States went into Afghanistan, where poppy production had been cut to an all-time low. Again, it's like the poppy center of the world, Afghanistan, and poppy's where the opioids come from. But the U.S. military went into Afghanistan, killed the Taliban under, the idea that they were a terrorist organization that had to do with September 11th. And after they killed the Taliban, U.S. military were made to guard poppy fields that were put back into production. And then, poppy was back up, flowing, and next thing you know, you have a major opioid crisis worldwide. Now again, 1968, the year that all those things happened, that also just happened to be the year that the FDA approved fentanyl. 1968. Again, all those things relating to 9/11. We didn't even mention the assassinations of MLK and RFK. But also fentanyl approved. And then again, the thing that they said that was the most devastating for the world since 9/11, coronavirus. Coronavirus, also coined in 1968. Again, all of these things in 68. So the cipher we were just looking at these words, it's the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26. The most simple cipher. Again, that year 68. The Catholic Church, their calendar, the language. You see how terror is 41 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse numerology. September 11th did have 41 date numerology. Al-Qaeda equals 41. So does Saudi Arabia. So does USA. 41 the 13th prime. 13 colonies, 13 stripes. But anyway, that's not what I wanted to show actually. It's this. Catholicism again equals 68. Like mathematics equals 68. Like solar system equals 68. Again, in the 16th century, the heliocentric model agreed to, essentially the solar system, the language, the calendar, and now just all in this perfect placement, with numbers like this being used ritualistically all the time, almost as if a stamp of the creator of the system. So, again, if you are new here, Gematria is the alphabetic order forwards and backwards with numerology. You look at a word like terror. 94 forwards, 68 in reverse. Again, 1968, everything goes down for the 911 plan. The building's open on the 94th day of the year. We were just talking about Seattle, Washington, where Boeing is, where Magnuson Klemenkic Associates is. Notice Seattle, Washington is 68 and 94. Again, in 1968, Boeing, founded by another Skull and Bones member, unveils the jumbo jetliners. Again, Bush out of Yale, Skull and Bones in 68. If you guys aren't on the football Patreon, one of the games that I liked a lot this weekend was the Rams to beat the Seahawks. And if you watched my stream yesterday in Seattle, it's a 7.5 hour stream. It's very long, but it's in about maybe 3 minutes and seconds into the video. It was a little choppy then because the connection wasn't the best, but you can hear it. I'm telling the Seattle fans about the number 94 and how big it is to Seattle and what it has to do with the Seahawks winning their only Super Bowl in the 94th NFL season, and then Russell Wilson's grandfather died at 94, and why Kurt Cobain died in 94, and Bill Gates lost his father at age 94 and his mother in the year 94, the year he got married to Melinda. Talking about all these things with 94, and I said to him, don't be surprised if Matt Stafford, who was the visiting quarterback yesterday, got his 94th career win. And then the one thing I didn't tell the crowd is how Sean McVay, the coach of the Rams, could get his 68th win, but that's what happened yesterday. The Los Angeles Rams in Seattle yesterday to start the season. The quarterback gets his 94th win as a starter, and the coach gets his 68th win. Perfect. Perfect. And Again, 1968, that same year, that was the year the New York Jets had their only Super Bowl winning season. 68. Think about it. A New York Jet ruined Drew Bledsoe from Washington State, giving rise to Tom Brady and the Patriots after 9/11 in the Patriot Act. And again, you can get deeper with all this stuff because it's all connected. The football games, the outcome of the season, the dates, the things were done in D.C. I mean, we've covered all this. I've written books about it. But we are on 9/11, and I just want to refresh some things. A lot of people in this community have made really important discoveries relating to 9/11. If you look at what day Manhattan was discovered in history, in terms of the his story books, what day was Manhattan discovered? Again, 9/11 was in Manhattan. And Hudson discovered Manhattan Island on September 11th, 1609. That's the way it goes down in the his story books. Obviously, other people had discovered Manhattan, but in the his story, again, the discovery is September 11th. What day did Pentagon construction begin? Pentagon construction. Why is Google trying to hide this now? So July 17th is the day that they signaled approval. Well, that's a big Jesuit day, but what? Okay, this used to just come up right away. This is what annoys me about Google just changing everything. Come on. It's September 11th, 1491, right before Pearl Harbor. If I just put the date in there itself, it'll probably pull up things. All right, September 11th, 1941, the plan was approved, and on September 11th, 41, construction began. This is about the Pentagon. This is right from the U.S. Department Defense.gov website. Remember, the Pentagon is 77 feet tall on the 77th meridian west, and they said Flight 77 hit it on September 11th, and they said the plane took off at 8:20 and crashed at 9:37, which is 77 minutes later. And again, run the alphabetic order forwards with numerology. September 11th is 77. World Trade Center, for the record, is 77, going with September 11th, but 94 in reverse, like how it opened on the 94th day of the year. The 247 and the 94 go with Seattle, Washington. And notice how World Trade Center was also 185. From Osama bin Laden's birthday, March 10th, to September 11th is 185 days later. And Osama's birthday, March 10th, can be written 10/3, like 103. And Pan Am 103 was the big terrorism plane story prior to 9/11. And 103 goes back to those pesky Jesuits, who are the new military order of the Catholic Church, who have the Templar cross in their logo. And of course, we started with Giuliani, who's a good Catholic. Again, all roads leading to Rome. The first Jesuit pope, the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. Big number with the Jesuits, 201. Two towers became 0 before they became 1. The date was 9/11. In Jewish gematria, Vatican Hill is 9/11. So is Tisha B'Av, which is the day to remember the destruction of the two temples. We just saw in that one thing, trying to find it, that the approval for the Pentagon project came on July 17th, 17/7. You know that's not an accident. The Jesuits have been in D.C. longer than the feds. But, yeah, again, we could do a easily an 11-hour presentation on 9/11 by the numbers, and that's one of the most obvious things, right? The master number 11, New York, the 11th state, the building that looked like an 11, the World Trade Centers that were 110 stories tall, 110, and again, it all started with flight AA-11. AA-11. They said 3 planes hit targets. They said 3 buildings collapsed. It was 33 years after 68. 33, the number of the builders, the Masons, modern Freemasonry, a Jesuit creation. But yeah, Rudy Giuliani, so instrumental in 9/11, so instrumental in helping cover up for the opioid crisis. And again, it's not so much that it's Rudy Giuliani's world, it's that he's a chosen man in this cabal, and he gets to be the face. You don't see the men standing behind him helping influence the decisions and giving him the power and having him in all the right spots at all the right times. But again, just remember, Giuliani's Catholic, so probably helps get him on board with the team. But yeah, I'm actually, you guys, today yesterday all day, I mean, it was a lot of driving. It's over 3 hours each way, out pounding pavement for about 8 hours straight. I don't know. I'm like, man, this must be getting older. I just feel beat today. I feel exhausted. Like, man, how did I drive across the whole country last year and pound pavement? I feel like I couldn't do it this year. But yeah, again, you guys, from the National Fix League to the World Trade Center, sadly, it's all the same. And you know what? Here, I'm going to make a point since we're talking about the same numbers. I was thinking more about the Morocco earthquake, which is also still front and center in the news today. I covered this the other day. But something that was bothering me is, again, we talked about how Morocco, they said the earthquake happened at 2200 GMT time, or 11 p.m. They actually said it happened at 11 p.m. The master numbers, 11 and 22. But we talked about how it was exactly 22 weeks after Morocco's Independence Day, or, which is also 154 days. I started to think more about where 154 and 22 fit with Morocco in recent history. And remember, Morocco did very well in the World Cup, and it was the 22nd World Cup of all time in the end of 2022, and France became 2-2 in championships, losing to Argentina the day after Pope Francis's birthday. And again, Pope Francis turned 86. Argentina had last won it in 86 with Maradona. Maradona, one of the last big things he did while he was alive was he participated in the climate event in Morocco, COP22. So, anyway, the last game that Morocco played in was on Saturnalia. And we've talked about the huge 154 piece with Saturnalia many a times. So, last game on Saturnalia, then they end up having this collapse, again, 154 days after their independence anniversary, which was also 22 weeks, going with the Saturnalia game in the 22nd World Cup. That was all synced up with the Pope. Remember, they had to tell you Messi for Argentina was staying separate from the rest of the team in Suite 201, just like the Pope lives in Suite 201, just like the Pope's name equals 201, like the Jesuit order, and so on and so forth. Anyway, as we also talked about, Morocco equals 107, like earthquake, again, like military. And I think I forgot to say with Afghanistan getting invaded on 10/7, the word invade itself is also 107. You know, the military occupation in Ukraine began on the 55th day of the year, February 24th. That's another invade word. But Diego Maradona, remember, we talked about how he died exactly 107 weeks before the World Cup was set. Exactly 107 weeks. And the phrase ritual sacrifice is 107 as well. And like we talked about in the case of Morocco, all those people were killed in the supposed natural disaster 154 days after Independence Day on September 8th, the 251st day of the year. And again, just the 107 Morocco earthquake and now Maradona connection because he was at COP22 in Morocco. Maradona, Morocco, right after Maui. You know what I mean? And they said it was Marrakesh, the name of this town in Morocco. Another M. A lot of M's. 13th letter. Just like how Hawaii burned up 13 days before its statehood birthday anniversary when it was once overthrown by the Committee of 13. And 13 goes back to Illuminati. It also goes back to America, which was founded right after the Illuminati. May 1st, 1776 and July 4th, 1776. So, by the way, I'm here. I meant to have the video camera on. I almost wore this facts over feelings shirt yesterday. I wish I would have wore it in Seattle for one guy. If you missed the stream, we had a guy come and try to unplug our mic. Shirts for guys like that. But, yeah, here's Maradona back when he was living at COP22, the climate change event. And you notice that ended on the 322nd day of the year. Old 322. Big Kabbalah number, big Skull and Bones number. Skull and Bones, again, part of this network. Skull and Bones 201, just like the movie The Skulls with Paul Walker came out 201 days after his birthday. He gets a red Porsche in the film, dies in a weird way. Did Paul Walker in a red Porsche. 5 years to the day of George Herbert Walker Bush dying. Number 41 on 1130. It's 11 plus 30, 41. What's Skull and Bones in Gematria? 41. Just like how 9/11 happened on the 41 date numerology. Again, all these different little networks that all lead back to Rome. These powerful secret societies pulling the strings by a code that most people are oblivious to. Let's not forget with regards to 9/11, 1941, just before Pearl Harbor being Pentagon construction start date. Again, they called 9/11 the new Pearl Harbor, where buildings 1, 2, and 7 fell in New York City, just like how Pearl Harbor was December 7th, 127. Again, ground zero, 127, terminology from the Manhattan Project, where the World Trade Centers were. We know what they just did in Maui with this exact ritual. And that's why people got to learn the knowledge. I think even though a lot of the stuff I was trying to talk about was complicated yesterday on the streets of Seattle, I think I saw a lot of people getting it. I think yesterday was a major seed planting day. Yeah, again, like I said, I could go on forever. There's a million more things about 9/11, but I think I want to keep this video short and sweet. Oh, maybe I'll read this from this little government study here. Actually, this quote comes from the Council on Foreign Relations. It's about the opioid crisis and the wars on terror, how the wars on terror have fueled the opioid crisis. So this is even within our own officials in our own government having these conclusions. And just how it begins. Introduction. U.S. military veterans, many of whom suffer from chronic pain as a result of their service, account for a disproportionately high number of opioid-related deaths. Veterans are twice as likely as the general population to die from an opioid overdose. And again, it just goes with the whole thing of creating the problem to bring about their solution, which is, something that's in their interest because they'll gain power from it, or they'll make money off it, or they'll gain status through it, or they'll gain authority through it. But this is the game. And again, they know that with each war they create, it spawns all these new problems that present all these new opportunities for them. War is money. The first casualty of war is the truth. It's just amazing how many people have spoken out and written out over the years, and how most of their messages are just not received by the public. The only message that most of the public is receiving at this day and age is the one from the TV screen. And again, the way to defeat that TV screen message is to do exactly what we did yesterday in Seattle, what we were doing all over the country last year, in New York for 9/11. That's the way to defeat the message. Again, if everybody was out across the country doing what we did in Seattle, it would have a huge impact. If there were just thousands of people out all over with mega speakers in big cities on corners just, sharing knowledge and information, a lot of those people who are skeptics now, if they start looking into things, start feeling like it's catchy to look into things because they see people speaking out all over, things would change. And that's what needs to happen. But, yeah, again, if you're out there thinking about it, it's got to be you. It's got to be you. There's not enough people that are action-based. I mean, in a way, you think about it, it's kind of sad that only 3,000 and some people in the whole world find what we're doing worth investing $1 or more a month in. And again, I mean, I guarantee you the same community of people that watch these videos every day, that if you could look at all the money that they're spending on these mega corporations that rule over us, I guarantee it would just be a sad tragedy. It would be a sad tragedy. I got $1 a month for the truth, but I got dollars and dollars a day for these evil corporations making a mockery of our existence because I like the food they present to me or whatever it is, you guys. Again, until America gets their priorities straight, people start changing their behavior and ways. I don't think anything's really going to change. The Pope's Morocco prayer was 46 seconds on YouTube, huh? Like Catholic and sacrifice, okay. Oh, man. All right, but yeah, again, people in the Fort Wayne area, if you go downtown Fort Wayne, you'll run into some truth seekers. You should see Frank the Truth Tank, Rich, and Chris. They'll all have those black shirts on, just like the one I was wearing yesterday with the yellow writing that says GematriaEffectNews. And more people are supposed to show up, but I just talked to them before the stream. It was the three of them out there, and they were just finishing their lunch break, and they just plan to be out there the rest of the day. They took the day off so they could get out, pound pavement, and spread truth. And again, if you're in the Fort Wayne area, go find those gentlemen and help wake up the town with them. So. All right, Truth Seeker, we'll leave it there for now. And till next time.